Hi everyone, welcome to the 2025 Ontario Business Achievement Awards, brought to you by our series presenting partner, Canadian National Railway. I'm Daniel Tisch, President and CEO of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Our theme for the awards this year is building a stronger Ontario, competitiveness and resilience. As our country grapples with economic uncertainty, we need bold leadership to secure Ontario's future. That's why we are spotlighting Ontario business leaders who've shown courage and adaptability to drive a more competitive and resilient economy. In this episode, we're celebrating leadership. It's our CEO of the Year award, and we'll reveal the winner in just a moment. First, I want to offer a big thanks to our episode partner, Turkish Airlines. We couldn't put this program on without you. The CEO of the Year award is presented to someone who's shown exceptional leadership in the past 12 months, bringing their organization to a new level of growth and success. In our networks, there's never a shortage of impressive candidates, but one stood out this year. That's because despite all the challenges in our current economic landscape, this person led their organization to a 10.3% annual net rate of return in 2024. Her commitment to evaluating business decisions through a climate risk is renowned among her global peers. And this person has for many years been a global thought leader in responsible investing as well. It's only fitting that our CEO of the Year is Barbara Zvan of the University Pension Plan Ontario. Congratulations, Barb. Recently, I had the chance to visit UPP and sit down with Barb Zvan. Here's part of that conversation. Barb, thanks very much for hosting us here in your beautiful office overlooking Lake Ontario. It's excited to be here and excited to see you. In thinking about the last year, you've done so much. You've been able to grow the plan's assets, you've maintained fully funded status, you've welcomed new members, and you've continued to lead on responsible investing and climate change. But if you had to identify one highlight, what would that be?
First, thank you for having me here today. It's a real pleasure to see you again. You know, there's so many things to be proud of, UPP and our progress, but the one thing I'll maybe point out is our progress on the investment portfolio. You know, the investment returns of a pension plan determines about 3/4 of the results of the success of a pension plan. And most people don't really appreciate how much it's so important and so critical to get right. And we have really taken advantage of our scale to reposition the portfolio, lean into private assets to help bring better diversification, bring more resilience to the portfolio, bring more inflation protection. And we've put up $1.5 billion in committed capital in over 20 deals in the last 2 years, I would say. And so really great to see the teams come together and be able to do that and also incorporate the ESG responsible investing lens in all those transactions.
Right. Does it become more complex for you as a CEO and for the management team? Because I assume it's more diversified. Does that improve the risk profile but make it more challenging to manage?
Well, it's been a really challenging effort from the beginning because we actually inherited 3 different portfolios from 3 founding universities. So it's very much bringing their different portfolios together where they were much smaller individually. And so we've learned to manage complexity all along the way. Yeah. And so I think setting a clear strategic course is the most important thing. And then really having the teams laser focused on meeting those outcomes. And I would say you can manage through that complexity.
I imagine many people watching might be members of UPP. And so maybe you could just explain briefly how the strategy is actually beneficial to members of the plan.
No, that's a great question. So each university today has to manage their own pension assets and their pension fund. And so they are regulated like a single employer who can go bankrupt tomorrow. So when you come into the university pension plan, it's something called a jointly sponsored pension plan. So both employers and the members have equal say in the design of the plan, what changes happen to benefits and contributions. But because we're bringing all these assets together, we can really take advantage of the scale. So it's very different from being able to manage $10 billion than less than $1 billion. As you can imagine, you can negotiate better fees with managers. You can do deeper due diligence. And so it's really taking advantage of all that scale and the repositioning of the portfolio. And also benefiting from the fact that as a JSPP or jointly sponsored pension plan, the rules are really customized for focusing on the long term.
Sure.
And so that really puts a different focus on how you manage the assets of the plan.
Right. You've long been focused on climate risk as something that you have to watch, that we all have to watch. So how does that shape the way you look at this question?
So we take in any factors that have what they call financial materiality. Will they ultimately impact the investment return, for the best interest of the members? So with pension plans, if you think about it, as you said, it's generations. So when we invest, for example, in a private asset, we're valuing this asset for the next 7 to 10 years. And that's a long time for any of those factors to play an important role. But you also have to remember the person who buys that from us is also looking at the next 7 to 10 years. So you're thinking about what can materially impact this holding for the next 15, 20 years. And that's why these environmental and social governance factors played such an important role for asset owners like pension plans so early on. It must be about 20 years since we've been working on building out better tools and research in this area.
Having said that, while pension funds in general are very focused on ESG issues and focused on climate risk, you've staked out a position of leadership specifically, to your great credit. But maybe just help us understand where that comes from. I know it's something that matters a lot to you, but I'm assuming it's also something that you've heard from your members matters a lot to them. Explain that a little bit and tell us why.
Absolutely, I've heard. I've been now in pensions for 30 years.
Yeah.
So I have always heard from members that they're concerned about the impacts of climate, they're concerned about the impacts of poor human rights on their holdings, poor governance of how companies are run. And it ultimately impacts, and I've seen it, the value of an asset. And so really what we're trying to do with many of the things that we're working on is to provide clarity. So whether it's clarity on, is it an asset that will manage through the transition or likely to manage through the transition? What are the risk profiles of those assets? Provide confidence to investors and make it easier for investors to allocate money. Everyone thinks of investors as big research teams that can come at things, but investors come in all shapes and sizes, to small to very large. And we're trying to just create clarity with these tools and make it a lot easier for people to do the investing that they need to do.
You've been more aggressive in setting a goal. So for instance, I believe you've said that you intend to reach net zero in your portfolio by 2040, correct?
Right.
And so tell me a bit about the choices that you have to make in order to make that happen.
So maybe go back to why we said 2040 is because we actually think the transition is moving too slow. And so we'd rather be ahead of the transition than behind the transition. And so we've made the specific choices in areas that we're going to focus. So in terms of our private assets, focusing on not just renewables, but things that help businesses transition over time. We're going to focus on stewardship to make sure that the company's having ongoing dialogue with them on, are they getting ready? We've chosen to focus on advocacy with policymakers because a lot of what they do impacts our ultimate outcomes. And we focus not to focus on certain areas. And there's even the more pragmatic in how you do investing is there's something called pooled funds where you get the same as everybody else. And we've been busy quietly behind the scenes switching those so that we can actually manage those funds more strategically aligned with our investment beliefs and being able to do things like vote for directors ourselves and really be able to share our views through those meets.
Our viewers love to get leadership lessons when they see me talk to a CEO. And so I'm going to ask you, when you think about your leadership style, what principles are most important?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot. So
I'm not surprised.
I try to balance both the outcomes and people.
Yeah.
So I am laser focused on making sure we can articulate a vision for the university pension plan, and then we take that vision that hopefully is inspiring to the team and make them into actionable strategies that last 3 or 5 years, and then into annual projects, initiatives, responsibilities, so that everyone knows how they connect back to that vision. I've been often called tenacious about outcomes, maybe politely tenacious, but very focused on measuring outcomes and staying focused on them. But equally so, Dan, you don't get anything done without people. Yeah. And so you have to work through people, work through relationships. And so we spend a lot of time on internal you're making sure everyone feels like they can bring their best selves to work, all the relationships in the sector, and putting that same rigor to measuring culture and engagement and saying how can we improve it so that people feel like they can bring their best selves and find this place inspiring. And so we try to do both.
Barb, I know that UPP has been growing in terms of number of members of the plan and number of institutions participating. Give us a sense of where you are now. Which institutions have faculty or staff who are members of the plan?
No, that's great. We're really excited about our growth. So we started with 3 founding universities: University of Toronto, Queen's University, and University of Guelph, so 3. And since then, we have moved up to 5 universities. So we have added Trent University, as well as Victoria College of U of T. And we have also welcomed 14 other smaller employers in the sector that don't normally have access to a defined benefit pension plan. So we're really excited about that growth as well. And we're working really hard to onboard Laurier University this January.
And so what's your plan for the future? Do you anticipate that this sort of growth will continue? Are you in early stage discussions with others right now?
We're talking to the sector, and different universities are different stages of readiness. And so we're pretty excited that we are in conversations with many of them, trying to work through where are their business priorities lie, how can they manage this, what are the risks, and not just to the administration, but to the faculty, to the staff groups, and really understand what they need so that they can feel comfortable of entering the university pension plan.
We've known each other a number of years, and I've had the chance to see you stick up your hand to volunteer for a lot of assignments. How do you choose where you want to contribute something to something outside UPP, right? I mean, because you're a busy person, you got a lot going on, but obviously there are times where you decide that you're going to be more effective if you collaborate with others. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I have 2 passions. One is pensions, and that is with my actuarial roots. And the second, over time, I've built a strong passion and commitment to bringing in sustainable finance. So what are those things that you need to have available so it can just become finance? So you can do better risk management, better investing. So I look for initiatives where it's not me in front of the room trying to be this inspiring speaker. That's not me. But what I love to do is bring in smart people who can make a solution better, who can all buy in and then get that actioned. And so whether that's in pensions or in sustainable finance. And those 2 areas mean a lot to the university pension plan. It goes right to the heart of how do we make this pension plan sustainable and available to the sector. And are we doing the best investing that we can?
We've talked a few times about sustainable finance. Maybe just for viewers who are less familiar with the concept, tell us a little bit about how you define that term.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because everyone has a different definition. So it's really looking at the more material factors that maybe traditionally we haven't. So those could be environmental things from the warming of the planet in your particular area. What is the impact if, for example, you own something related to water and there's not as much water in an area? Or you are dependent on clean electricity, but the electricity is becoming more expensive or less available, for example, like in data centers and the impact of them.
Right. So it's where an investment relies on something which could be impacted by climate.
That's right, and materially so. And it could be other social factors, and it could be governance factors, like how does a board govern themselves? How does the board pay its CEO? And these can have really big impacts. And so we really focus on what are those things that really make it that so you can do it every day. So that's often related to disclosures. So today, companies report on financial metrics every year. There's very disciplined. There's audit committees that go through all this. We want to make it the same on sustainability information. It's taxonomies, which is like a guideline. Does this activity align with Canada's net zero transition, or if it's in another country, that country's transition? So those are tools that make decision-making easier, more clear, more certain, which reduces the risk. And that's really what we're trying to do with a lot of these initiatives, is put this type of infrastructure really in place.
We all know that this last year has felt like a turning point in Canadian history. Mm-hmm. Obviously we'll see in 10 years whether it was or not. But I think there's a realization that we need to do things a little differently. What's your view as to what we need to change in the way we're building this country and this economy?
Maybe I'll draw a couple parallels to how we manage a portfolio. So the first is, when we build a portfolio, we really think about diversification. Where are the different sources of return? How do they come together? That said, we can't be experts in everything, and so we need to focus in certain areas. So Canada obviously had a concentration with our partner down south that has put us in risk at this point. And we really need to think about how we diversify our partners, our global partners, where we export, import from, and help companies make that transition and put in the industrial strategies to help them. I think the other parallel would be, when we want to invest with a partner, it's not like we get to choose. We actually have to show that we are a good partner to them, work on their speed of doing business without compromising the due diligence that we have to do. It's really hard to get things done in Canada. We have heard that in spades.
So we need to make it easier for those who want to invest in Canada or work with us to do business here.
That, and also the entrepreneurs who are trying to create businesses here. So during the expert panel from 2018, 2019, we heard from so many of them about the complexity of Canada's regulatory framework, the complexity of moving across provinces. And that was, 7 years ago. And we're now hearing it again.
Are you optimistic we can do this? And if so, why?
Well, I think that, you never ignore a good crisis. So I think everybody is laser focused on this issue. And so that gives me hope that we actually will resolve it.
Barb, thanks again for welcoming us in today. And as always, I've so enjoyed the chat. And congrats once again on being our CEO of the Year for 2025.
Oh, you're welcome, and it's always a pleasure.
I admire Barb for many things, but one of the primary things I think about Barb is the strength of her convictions and the passion and determination with which she pursues them.
I admire Barb because she is thoughtful, principled, kind, and visionary.
I admire Barb because she's the smartest person I have ever met.
I admire Barb because she has the vision to know where we need to go. She has the determination to get us there. And she has this amazing ability to make sure that she brings everyone along for the journey.
I admire Barb because she does everything with purpose. She's evidence-based, but she cuts through the noise, and she brings us all along.
This celebration of leadership would not be possible without our episode partner. So here's a special message from our friends at Turkish Airlines. The respect Barbara Zvan has earned in so many circles is real. Her reputation precedes her. Have a look and a listen to what people say.
Barb, congratulations. I can't think of anyone more deserving of this award than you are. Thank you for all that you've done for UPP. We are so lucky to have you. Congratulations to you on behalf of me and everyone on the executive team and the whole organization. Congrats.
It gives me great pleasure on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees to congratulate you on being named as CEO of the Year by the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. We are thrilled to celebrate this award with you and to look forward to many years of building and working with UPP under your outstanding leadership.
Barb, congratulations. This is just one of the many accolades and recognitions that you've earned and been so deserving of over the years. Your time at Ontario Teachers, and now as the inaugural Chief Executive Officer of University Pension Plan, you have contributed so much to pension members and to the world of sustainability. Well done.
Congratulations, Barb, on winning the CEO of the Year award from the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. As a Chief Investment Officer at UPP, it has been my privilege to witness firsthand the impact that your leadership has had on the organization.
Over the years, I've had the great pleasure of working with Barb on issues critical to Canada's longer-term prosperity. These include managing financial stability risks, strengthening our pension system, and mobilizing finance to invest in climate change. And I've learned, if you want to work with Barb, be ready to work hard. Barb does everything with purpose, and nobody is more determined. Congratulations, Barb.
For over a century, Ontario's Chambers of Commerce and Boards of Trade have been a driving force, supporting both communities and businesses. Through challenges, we've stood strong, connecting voices and advocating for what matters most. In the spirit of collaboration, we find strength. A network of over 60,000 business owners shaping the future of our province by driving sustainable economic growth and cultivating resilient communities. We are your community partners. Together, we are unstoppable. For more information, visit www.occ.ca/chamber-network-directory.
Barb, thank you so much for a great conversation today, and I'm so excited to welcome members of your team into the room with us now. And our conversation really reminded me of all the reasons why the Ontario Chamber of Commerce has decided to honor you. I think it's the way that you and your team together have continued to maintain fully funded status for the plan, the way you've grown your assets, the way you've welcomed new members, and also the way that you've continued to lead on responsible investment and climate change. Barb, for all these reasons, we're so delighted to honor you today with the Ontario Business Achievement Award for CEO of the Year. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Dan, and thank you to the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. It's a real privilege and honor to accept this award. And this award may have my name on it, but it is because we have this incredible team who has really helped shape UPP into its reality today over the last 5 years. So thank you, team, and thank you to the Chamber.
As we wrap up this episode, thanks as always to our OBAA series presenting partner, Canadian National Railway, and our episode partner, Turkish Airlines. Finally, thanks to you, our viewers. Don't forget to join the conversation on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and on the Ontario Chamber website. Until next time, stay connected and stay inspired.
Hello, I'm Jason Chang, Manager of Programs at the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, and I'm here to present the 2025 Beyond Borders Business Award. This award recognizes an SME up to 500 employees that has implemented a successful export strategy. The winning organization will have demonstrated innovation through product development and commercialization, leading to an expansion in global markets. And it is being brought to you today by the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. And the winner is Aviation GSE.
I'm Hamza Hussein, and I'm the CEO of Aviation GSE. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm truly honored to accept the Beyond Borders Business Award on behalf of Aviation GSE. Thank you to the Ontario Chamber of Commerce for this incredible recognition. This award belongs to our amazing team at Aviation GSE, to our technicians, our support staff, our leadership, and everyone who works hard every single day to serve our customers. I want to thank all our customers in North America across all 50 states in the US, and all our domestic customers here in Canada across all our provinces who trust us for their ground support equipment needs. Your trust has allowed us to grow from a local Ontario business to serving the aviation industry internationally. This award proves that Ontario businesses can be leaders in specialized industries and can compete anywhere in the world. Thank you to the Ontario Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to the team. Thank you to our customers. This is just the beginning.
A special salute to all the worthy nominees in this category, and a big congratulations once again to the 2025 Beyond Borders Business Award winner, Aviation GSE. Thank you also to all of our viewers. And don't forget to join the conversation. Find us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, as well as on our website. See you later.